All right, sir. Let's just start real quick with NC State because I think there are a lot of people who are very excited. The college football video game, College Football 25, comes out, and they ranked all of these teams' offenses, and State ended up with a top 25 national offense. And some of the media are pushing back on that, and fans are very excited. This is a team that has been defense-oriented for the last several years. Certainly capable offensively, but it's been mostly defense. What's your read on where the Wolfpack will be offensively this year?
I think they're going to be much improved from last year. I think the moves that they kind of weird thing about moves they brought in, it makes you feel like it's NFL free agency. But bringing in Grayson McCall from Coastal Carolina, bringing in Noah Rodgers, bringing in Wesley Grimes, I think this offense has a lot of potential. With KC coming back, with Jordan Waters down the street at Duke coming over at running back. I went to a few practices in the spring, and it felt explosive. As far as the receivers, what they're capable of doing, I think Grayson McCall, he fits perfectly for the system and the skill set around him because he's going to be a guy that gets the ball out of his hands quick. He's going to go with it in the right place, and he's accurate. He doesn't have the biggest arm in the world. He's not like what Devin Leary was a couple of years ago. But when you have receivers like Casey Concepcion and those guys I just mentioned, you just got to get the ball in their hands with good ball placement, and then they're going to, have yards after catch. So I'm really excited about this offense. I've heard great things about Jordan Waters, running back, and then they return a lot on the offensive line.
Yeah.
So, I don't know about EA Sports' rating system and how credible those guys are, but I do think this offense is going to be much better than last year, and I do expect them to be one of the better offenses in the ACC.
Mike Glennon is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. Are you a gamer? Do you play video games?
I have not played video games in a while, except for with my kids, which is more Nintendo Switch, kind of the Mario of the world. But I don't think my soon-to-be 8-year-old son is listening. I think I'm going to have to get him NCAA football.
Uh-oh.
And I don't know if it's more of a gift for him or for me. So I do want to be making a comeback just because it's nostalgic. It's fun to play. And it's been so long playing NCAA football that I feel like, you just kind of got to get it to get back into it.
Don't call it a comeback. You can't do that. I think that's with the LL Cool J. Don't call it a comeback. The only video games I ever played with my kid were Nintendo Wii, not Nintendo Switch. Nintendo Wii, because I didn't have to operate a controller. I couldn't do that. I could make the swinging motion of a golf club, and the only game I ever played was Tiger Woods golf.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
there's all sorts of games nowadays.
Yes, there are. My son plays many of them. All right, let me ask you about the NFL. I watched Aaron Rodgers in that American Century Celebrity Golf Tournament. He didn't look like he was walking like super comfortable. I don't know that I'm not asking you to be a doctor and diagnose him. So I'm like, I wonder if he's healthy. Is there more pressure on anybody than there is on Aaron Rodgers to be not only really good, but really durable?
It's a good question. I haven't thought about who I think has more pressure on him in the league than anyone. Now, I think the expectation, or coming off the season the Jets had last year, they can really only go but up. And I think Aaron Rodgers is still going to play at a high level, but it does kind of feel like at this stage in his career, the hype, the momentum that they had last year before 4 plays in, I think there's high expectations in New York to finally get to see him play and see what he can do for that Jets organization. I did not get a chance to watch the celebrity golf tournament, but that is interesting that if he was walking a little gingerly, you would have thought that he would be healthy by now. If that's the case, then I would say that is a little concerning. I figured he'd be full go.
I could be wrong. I mean, he came back and practiced last year, and he looked like he was moving. Maybe he was just having a bad old man day. because he's basically, especially in athlete terms, he's kind of an old man. You're younger than Aaron Rodgers, correct?
I am, yes.
Yeah.
Thanks for. I mean, I think I'm about 8 years younger than him.
Yeah.
Come on, just because we're both bald doesn't mean we're old.
So
me and you referring to, not Rodgers.
Well, I apologize. I do apologize. Yesterday, I was in the grocery store and bought a bottle of wine and offered my ID, and the woman looked at me and said, "I don't need that." I just thought I was giving it as a formality because sometimes they scan. Never mind. That was a little because she looked at me like, "Oh, isn't that adorable?" Like. You don't have to do that, sir. Yeah, I was looking at the Jets have so many good players. If they have competent quarterback play, they actually might be a playoff team. I don't think Rodgers is going to be good enough for them to be truly great, but they don't need great to be a playoff team because they have so many other good players. Speaking of that, your old stomping grounds, the Miami Dolphins. If you pay Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill somewhere in the neighborhood of $50 million each a year. It's close. It's not quite that, obviously. It's probably closer to between 35 and 40. How do you also pay a Tua Tagovailoa because you can't spend $112 million a year on basically one element of your game, your two top wide receivers and your quarterback, right?
I was around the NFL for a while, and I still don't get how the cap works. It seems like, you see all these teams, and you're like, how are they paying this guy, that guy, and that other guy? The 49ers seem like they've been doing it for years with all their guys, and they're about to have to play Brock Purdy next year, but they find ways to kind of maneuver the contracts so certain money hits certain years. That's above my pay grade on how that operates. I do think they'll find a way to get a deal done with Tua, and I'm guessing it's going to have to come in north of $50 million because basically you either have a quarterback or you don't. And if you're a legit playoff contending quarterback, led your team to the playoffs, you're going to get paid probably the next highest amount. You're going to top whoever just got it before you. So I imagine Tua's expecting to get $50 million plus, and I'm sure they find a way to get it done because it's hard to find a true franchise quarterback, and otherwise you're kind of starting over. So, yeah, I don't know how those numbers will work, but between those three players, I do imagine it'll be north of $100 million.
I was going to ask you, who would you rather have, Tua or Dak Prescott? But there are so many factors there. Age, Tua's concussion issues. So I'll simply ask the question this way. Who's better, Tua or Dak?
Man, putting me on the spot.
You could say tie. You could say push.
I would feel good. I'll put it this way. I would feel good with both of them being my quarterback and paying them what needs to get done to be it. I think they're both. In the NFL, it really is. There's only 15 or so true franchise quarterbacks, and there's some that are better than others within that 15, in my opinion. But I think both those two guys are in that top 15 range where you can win with them at quarterback. Now, you're going to have to be good around them and good at other spots. I don't think they can carry you quite the way a guy like Patrick Mahomes can, but there's really, him, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, there's only a handful that truly can maybe carry your team, and even those guys have some help. I think Tua benefits from having Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. I think Dak has done a lot of good things. He just hasn't quite got the Cowboys over the hump. But I would feel, if I was a coach or a GM, I would feel good with both of those guys being my quarterback.
See, and that's where I am with quarterbacks, and this is where you and I will differ. I think Tua's good. I think Dak is good. I don't think either are great. And my philosophy, and this is where it's good that I don't run an NFL franchise, my philosophy is I am not paying a good player great player money because ultimately you lose when you do that. So I would
That is true, but those guys at least give you a chance. If you fall into that next realm, and really the guys that are bottom tier starters, the kind of 25 to 32 range, you almost don't even have a chance at winning the big one with a guy in that level. So that's what you risk. I understand what you're saying.
So what I would do in that situation, seriously, this is what I would do in that situation. I would take that $50 million of cap space, and I would apply that to the rest of my team. And even if I take a small step back for a year, I would then go and get the cheap quarterback to plug in. Like the 49ers have an incredible team around a super cheap quarterback who's clearly going to get more expensive next year unless the 49ers decide to move on from him too, which, I mean, I guess anything is possible, no?
I don't see. I mean, Shanahan's one heck of a coach and play caller, but I don't see any way to let Brock walk.
I love Brock, by the way.
But, maybe Shanahan's that confident in himself that he thinks it's more him than it is the quarterback. I mean, they did it with Garoppolo, and now they're doing it with Purdy. So he does have a good track record of the offense and the team playing at a championship level.
All right. Are you a tennis fan?
Tennis? I wouldn't say I'm a tennis fan, but I did watch Wimbledon.
Okay. So we're gonna play a round of Gimme 5 with you. Okay.
Oh, tennis.
All right. I've only have two categories. I want to leave the slightly easier one for the listeners. I'm going to put some pressure on you, Mike Glennon.
All right.
It's not that hard, actually, if you think about it. So we have game show music, Victoria. And by the way, we're going to play another round if somebody wants to play 919-860-5326. It's a game show. I'll ask a question. You got to give me 5 correct answers, and I can tell you right now there are 18 correct answers.
All right.
Right? You only have to give me 5.
Okay.
In the open era of men's tennis, there was a time where amateurs, or actually professionals, could not play in the Grand Slams. It's about a 7-year span in the 60s. So from the late 60s on to today, there are 18 players who have won at least 4 Grand Slam titles. Carlos Alcaraz is 1. So I'm actually, there's only 17 correct answers. Name 5 others who have won at least 4. This is a cake question.
Djokovic, Nadal, Andre Agassi, Pete Sampras, Andy Roddick.
Roddick has 1. You skipped over like.
Did I get 4?
You got 4.
Tennis is not my thing.
So how do you give me Novak Djokovic and Rafael Nadal and not give me Roger Federer?
Oh, yeah. Blanked on Federer.
You gave me Agassi and Sampras, which are, those two guys are tied because it was the same era. But, man, my wife is at home, like wherever she is right now listening, going, how does he not give me the best guy of all time? Although it's debatable if you are a Djokovic fan. It's fine. It's fine. Also, no McEnroe?
McEnroe?
John McEnroe.
No.
Okay. All right. It was fun anyway, wasn't it?
The next one.
No, I have to. The next one has to go to somebody else.
Okay. All right. Well,
this fizzled out. this fizzled. We'll do it again next time. We'll do the same thing. Although I won't give you a tennis question.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for having me, Adam.
You got it, Mike Glennon.